The lady on the right with the big hat is my mother. Unbelievable. Look at her waist and the clothes. Oh, and that big hat. You know, she was so beautiful. And the middle lady is my Aunt Gert, who was older than her, I think. That's Shirley's mother. The lady on the left, I don't know who that is. Oh, there's Stewart's mother, Yeti, and Eric on her lap.
Yeah.
Oh, she was such a sweet lady.
That's nice.
I loved her so much. It's my prom.
This is Iris's prom.
And you can, I'm the fourth from the left. Very cute. Now, Stu was talking to me, but you can't hardly see his face. He had just flown home from Florida, and I think he was hoarse. I think he had a cold. All those other people. Well, that's Paul Leaf in the middle.
Paul Leaf has actually got us together.
Right. And I can't remember. Isabel Spera is one of these girls.
I could tell you what happened. I was in Florida visiting my grandparents, and it was the prom was coming up, and there was a storm.
It was January.
And the plane that I was on wouldn't fly. I ended up getting on a small airplane, and we stopped somewhere so they couldn't get all the way home. And then I got there, and fortunately my sister was so concerned that we wouldn't have flowers for Iris or anything for the prom. So Gert went out and got everything and made all the arrangements. It was awfully sweet of her. Yeah. There's Uncle George posing for the movies. It was on his boat.
Oh,
unbelievable picture.
Isn't that? He's so handsome.
Really, he could have been in the
We
movie.
sailed a lot together. He sailed, I think he probably spent more time with us than his family.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
But we had fun with him. We enjoyed each other's company.
Oh, there's the skipper. This is, let me tell you something. When we lived in Babylon, they once, what was the name of that group?
Ladies Say Race?
No, what was the name of the group that you belonged to?
Oh,
AAU.
The women's group once wrote Mother up, and the write-up was talking about her, and was talking about this woman who sailed all over and did this and did that, and I didn't know who they were talking about. And I read the whole thing, and afterwards she said, "No, that's me," and this is the picture that should go along with it.
Oh boy, they once had to take care of me, and they were behind me and they said I had lemonocus, and I was so frightened, and they never did say I got over it.
It was on her back, they said,
right.
So she couldn't see it.
Isidore, he came to this country when he was 17 to escape the Russian army or whatever, and he went into the American army, but that was the end of the war, so he didn't serve very much. He took me to the prize fighting matches, and I used to get pretty excited. I'd watch the people. He loved boxing. He also loved swimming and diving. I think that's how he was very hard of hearing, from diving and swimming.
This is in the backyard in Babylon, and we had a dinghy there. Mom is wearing my jacket and my hat, and she's sitting in the rowboat, and she had such a great time. She really was a nice lady who loved to fool around and really didn't have much of a chance to do it. And when she came to our house,
when you took she and your grandmother out.
Yeah, I went in the friendship sloop. I took them out. They wanted to get on the boat because everybody had always been on it. So I took Iris's mother out and my grandmother, and I'm taking them all around up and down the creek so they could see the houses. Well, they got in a boat and they started talking to each other, and they never looked at anything. We were out for a half hour, they were talking, and we came back in,
but they were so happy they
had their chance to be out in the boat.
Look at that face.
This picture won an award. I want you to know, Lisa hated it. She's sitting, this is Lisa on the toilet seat. And there was a little photography show out on Long Island, and there must have been 8 pictures in it. And I won an award. So when I went to get my job at Tinker, I wrote award-winning photographer. I won the award.
Look at that face.
It's a wonderful picture.
Yeah,
The
it
one
is.
side lighting. She looks so content. It used to be in the hall in the front of our house, and she hated it. being there. I love this picture.
She is so much love shown in there.
This is Lisa and Eric. Lisa kissing Eric on the beach.
Taking care of him.
Eric must have been about 2 or 3. Eric would handle the mizzen had a spinnaker, and he'd handle the mizzen spinnaker. And every once in a while, when it was light air, it would collapse, and it was right in front of the wheel. It would collapse right in my face.
He looks
But he did a good job on
He looks
handling
like
the
Tom
spinnaker.
Cruise there.
This is Uncle George's old boat, Nirvana, and this boat we bought up, and it was during the war, as a matter of fact. And we had to bring down through the East River, and they had a submarine net there. We had to make arrangements like 3 weeks in advance, and I had to get some sort of Coast Guard permit. Anyway, this is the boat that Iris and I used to go out on. She would come with us, and she always wondered why she was a little bit seasick, because we sailed in the ocean off of Coney Island.
And I kept
And I thought she was a nice, quiet lady, because she kept her mouth shut all the time. Because I didn't realize the pastrami sandwich was about to come up. Levittown had floors that had heat in them, and we had a straw rug which would dry up all the time.
So he was
So
always
I had
sewing
to
them.
sew them together with my
But
sail
she
equipment.
used to make that face, and we used to laugh.
And the floor would get warm in the morning, and Lisa would wake up with wet pants, and she'd go sit down on the floor, and they would dry. By the time we got up, she was dry. She was watching television. The pitons, it's called, the pitons, and the boat, we were tied up there. You put your bow anchor out, and you tie the stern, and the damn elephant comes up and keeps picking up your anchor. That elephant, some crazy Frenchman brought that elephant, a big group of elephants come walking down the street, and I had a few drinks, so I'm standing in front of them. And all of a sudden I realized they're coming right at me. And I started to back away and get the hell out of there. It was crazy. And Roz wasn't very happy because they were living on the boat in the Bahamas.
Is
And
this
she
their
had-
boat?
and Yeah, she had plants all around. It was
Countess.
the Countess, yeah, a Pearson Countess. She had plants all over, and every time Iris and I came, the boat would leave the dock, and we'd go sailing. This is on the H-28. Is what are the 3 kids? Adam,
Bess, and Amy.
and Amy, and Eric,
And Lisa.
and Lisa. Up in the bow of the H-28, sailing in Great South Bay, Babylon. I'm wanting to raise this lady's day race and give her the helm. And
I passed somebody.
we're doing pretty well, and we're coming close to the mark, and there's a space. You know, the other boat is to leeward of us, and I said, you go in there. She goes in, and she passes the other boat and slows them down. Naturally, she's to windward of them. And she turns around and she says, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, one of those things. And we didn't know, we got in, and we were in the heart of Harlem, all black. And
Jamaica.
apparently they had some problems.
But they were so nice.
At some other place. So we went out, and we're walking along, and somebody comes along and wants to be our buddy.
Get liquor. Do we need
and
liquor?
then we wanted to go to a liquor store. So he's taking me to the local liquor store. And then he
This
starts
is a native.
he starts to sing all of the
Jamaican.
down the nights when the lights are getting and we're singing all the songs with him, every one of them.
Oh, because
So he's getting a little disgusted. And he finally sung his high school song.
the Jamaican high
The
school.
Jamaican high school, which we couldn't
didn't know. Joan had that white raincoat, and it was great, but it used to get dirty. She'd wear it into the shower and wash it and hang it up.
Oh, I thought she turned it inside
She
out.
was so funny. She and I had such fun together.
But we went down there, and we're in the water, walking around, and we see this black, and we look down, and it looks like this black thing is chasing us. This monster right and so we try to walk away from it, and it's following us. We walk the other way, and it's following us. Turns out it was our shadow. We were used to the waters in Seagate, which you couldn't see through, the water was so clear that we cast a
See the
shadow,
bottom.
and we're running away from it. There's the Morgan. Who's in the back?
Joe.
Oh,
Oh, is that a car?
yeah, that was a beauty.
Isn't that a beauty?
Funny thing about Joe, wherever we went, whatever country, he looked like he belonged.
Like he was a native.
If you go,
Because he was dark.
look at
and he had
this
a
one
mus-
with the big mustache and the things. He looks like he's right from Turkey. Interesting boat. George found it. It was built by some commander who ran the Norfolk Naval Base. And he built it while he was running the naval base
And he
there.
had access.
So everything on that boat is U.S. Navy. When you pass a Navy boat, it stands up and salutes. They were going under a bridge, and the bridge picked up, and the hydraulics went, and the bridge came down, took the mast out. Fortunately, it was such a rake mast that it didn't push it through the bottom of the boat. But the main was connected to the mizzen, and took the mizzen mast out. And Michael, George's son, was standing under where the mizzen was. He jumped overboard. Fortunately, he didn't get hit. And it was very weird because they went into the harbor, and then they were coming out of the harbor the next day, and the people from the newspapers were there to photograph them. And sure enough, the bridge opens up, and it comes down again. But there was nothing to knock down because there weren't any masts. He was going to Florida to have the mast redone. They were playing, what was the name of that play?
Irma La Douce.
Irma La Douce. And so we wanted to go, and we took, I guess we took you and Lisa. We figured you didn't know what was going on. But I don't know, I think somebody in the play was a prostitute
Right,
or
I
something.
think so.
We didn't want Lisa, we tried to keep her from seeing.
So we gave her a lot of
See.
candy and popcorn.
Because she would be busy eating. And here's the bicycle built for two, and you guys rode it, and I rode it, and with Mom, and except that one of us didn't pedal.
That must have been you.
Put down a case of champagne, and everybody was drinking and drinking.
And we had
And finally,
cold cuts, didn't we?
cold cuts and everything. It was a wonderful party. Finally, the guy, what's his name from Texas Instruments? Anyway, his boat was there, his motor sailor, and his captain was there. He said, well, I'll bring you some more. So he brought some more champagne. over,
And he joined us.
And he joined us, and we kept drinking. And I didn't quite make it home in the car. Fortunately, Ralph was driving, and the
He
window
passed out.
window was open. No, I didn't pass out. I just passed out the champagne. And when I got home, I said, "Gee, I'm glad the kids weren't with us. You weren't there." The Friendship sloop was pretty well dried out when we boarded it in. We caulked the bottom, but there were a few places where we had to put a cistern, a little a slit of wood in. And in the middle of August, that boat would get so dry that the best way to keep it from leaking was to take a bunch of sawdust from the boatyard and put it in a burlap bag and put it underneath the boat. And the pressure of the water would bring the sawdust in there, which really stopped leaking. And by September or something, it was back to being normal. But it was such a gorgeous little boat. And one day we drove up with that guy to the gas station. We were going to Great Neck, to Joe and Joyce's house. And we had Iris's friend Joan and her husband in the back seat.
Remember
the
Big Joan?
little seats. Well, the front of the car practically picked up. we drove into the gas station to get the gas, and the guys were laughing like crazy.
It was a
But
funny sight.
we figured we had to use that car anyway. We only used it on weekends. How Joan and her husband ever fit in the back seat, I don't know.
I don't even think. I was 13, and I saw Stewart on the beach, and I went goo-goo. I fell in love that minute. And he was so good looking and so sweet. There was another girl that liked Stu, Myrna Friedman. So we'd start home from the beach about 6, and Stu would walk Myrna and I as far his Aunt Matilda's house. And then he'd go in there, and Myrna would go one way, and I would go the other way. So he didn't have to make any decision about us. I asked him to a Sweet 16 party of my friend Aurora.
I was living in the Bronx then, so I would just take the subways every Friday night and stay with my grandmother, who was in Seagate, because I didn't like the Bronx. It didn't have trees. Seagate had trees and was by the water and everything. But I knew, you know, when I knew when I was going to marry her, because she didn't cast a shadow on the beach. So as a matter of fact, and she was so frugal, and she made everything. She made herself a beautiful bathing suit. And she comes running out of the water to be...
Turtleneck?
No, it wasn't a
Two-piece.
turtle. I'll tell you why she has turtlenecks now. It wasn't a turtleneck.
It was a two-piece.
It was two-piece, but one piece, the top fell off. And I figured I really liked that boy.
Oh.
A basic date was simple. I go to Iris's house, which was at the end of the world in Seagate. And we'd walk from there, which was a long walk out of Seagate, and then walk the whole boardwalk.
To Nathan's.
And it was beautiful on the boardwalk.
It
Just
really was.
seeing the ocean and the boats, and
It was like velvet.
and it was weird because I never had any idea that I could be on a boat out on that ocean. I mean,
It was so far.
It was so. We went to her mother's house in Newport, and the New York Yacht Club would come in, and I'd see all those boats, and my eyes would open wide. I'd never have any idea that ours would be one of them.
Do you remember seeing the Swan come in to Minifeds, and you said to me, "Who owns a boat like this?" And I said, "Stu, you do."
Well, neither Iris's folks nor my folks were very up on anything.
Or had much money.
Well, so, and we didn't belong to the temple. So my Aunt Gert belonged to the temple in Manhattan Beach. And
She let us
she
go.
made the wedding for us. Now, we didn't have money, we didn't have a photographer. Lisa's still complaining because we don't have pictures
Wedding
of our wedding.
pictures.
No one took pictures of the wedding. One year, we were going out pretty regularly, and it's about on a Tuesday, and New Year's Eve was like a Friday or Saturday. So I call Iris up, make a date, you know, to make sure we're gonna be together on New Year's. She wouldn't make the date because
I was busy.
I called last minute. It was, she was
That
not,
was a thing
she was
then.
not going to see me. So, I mean, she was absolutely crazy. We didn't see each other.
That
for-
wasn't crazy.
We didn't see each other.
That was the stuff.
Yeah, that was not the style. That was
It
only the
was-
style from Michiganers.
And went to the Virgin Islands, stopping off at Puerto Rico first. And it was the first time that I had flown. And I was so nervous. And I guess I was nervous all the time. And I was all dressed up with gloves and a hat and stockings. And he was in a suit, or no, sports jacket. And when we got there, the Virgin Islands, we were staying at this lovely hotel, small, and they sent up a bottle of champagne. And we said, how did they know we're on our honeymoon? I mean, we looked like we were 12 years old.
I always wanted to have children.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we would walk home from the beach, walk along the street, and she'd tell me about the Chinese children. I don't
Yeah,
know
we
why.
joke around
We
about it.
always, unlike most of the kids today,
And we knew
we had a plan. We knew,
Yeah.
and most people our age at that point had this plan. We knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a family, and we wanted to have a little house. So when we
Right.
got the house
and
in
a little
Levittown,
boat.
first of all, when we got the apartment, it was
Oh.
we had this apartment in Bayside. That's where Lisa was born,
Yeah.
and it was right across the street from the supermarket. And we
And the
couldn't-
appetizer
we-
store, the
we-
bakery.
We really couldn't afford to go over there to eat, to get stuff, but we would sit there
Oh,
and,
Sunday.
and in the winter, when it would ice up, the cars would get stuck on the road right in front, and we'd be looking out the window. Normally, I don't know how many beef pies we had.
They were $4 for $1.
$4 for $1. That was our dinners.
That was
So
mainstay.
Iris was working and making about $35. I was making about $35 a week or 40. I was a pay stub man. If you've ever done that, it's the most boring thing in the world. You had to justify the type, but it didn't work out like it does now on the machines where you justify the lines. You had to cut the damn things apart.
Oh, this was just the rehearsal.
I had to have one of each. We were lucky.
Right.
We had a girl and a boy.
Because if we had another girl, we would have had a third one, I think. We wanted a boy. I was so thrilled being an only child.
Well, she.
And I didn't know what little boys.
We bathed her in the sink. And
In a basin.
For about 2 months, we just dusted her. And one of the things, the doctor was a wonderful doctor. When Iris was saying, I don't know, I'm worried and this and that.
Toilet training.
He says, I want to tell you something. This kid will survive, not because of you, but in spite of you.
And she will not be wearing a diaper walking down the aisle.
What we did is, in Sheepshead Bay, they rented outboard motors for people to go out fishing in the bay. Well, we rented one of those motors.
I tell you,
put it in
we
the car, and we took it all the way to hell up to Jersey, and we're going to use this. We're going to come down one of the rivers in Jersey, which, with all the big boats following us, our mother thought they were chasing us.
Well, the ferry.
And
we had to cross.
Well, that was when we finally got out. There was no Verrazano Bridge. And we're coming across, and Mom was sure the ferry was chasing us. But first we start coming down, and it's got this little tank on the top. So you fill it up with fuel, and then the engine stops. You got to refill again. With this tugboat coming with things back and forth. And she's pumping away because the boat,
it's leaking.
it was
and
just
I'm so
put in
scared.
the water a few days before, and it hadn't quite soaked up. We knew this. We were taking it to Sheepshead Bay to be fixed. Well, she pumped all the way from New Jersey
to Sheepshead Bay.
And of course, as we're going,
it's a good thing I had something to do.
One stay snapped, and another one, and so I tied them up again. And
I think God takes care.
We were in
dumb people.
We were in the channel. We were in Sandy Hook. We were right out in the ocean there. And when we finally got to Sheepshead Bay, put the boat on a mooring because a friend worked as a tender guy. Put the boat on a mooring and went home. Thank goodness. I come back the next day to see the boat. Fortunately, it was a centerboard boat.
Couldn't find
it. She was completely filled with water up to the gunnels.
Oh,
so we pumped it out and took it around to Garrison Beach, and George's friend, who was a very old man, but he was a great caulker, fixed it up.
First of all, we happen to be very lucky. There are very few agencies that have the best people in New York wanting to work with them. We have made a point of trying to hire people who are all good, but not the same. I mean, Mary and I are probably about as different as night and day, and the inherent structure that makes it flexible is few people, each one working. I tell you, I think really the strength of the agency is its attitude about ideas. I think we try to be very realistic about the things that we're talking about when we sell them, and we try to be pretty honest. What we did with the Benson Hedges thing was say, here we have a cigarette that's a little bit longer than all the other cigarettes, and let's say it's a little bit longer than all the other cigarettes.
Oh, the disadvantages of the new Benson and Hedges 100s. They're a lot longer than king size, and that takes some getting used to. Benson and Hedges 100s are the new, longer filter cigarettes. 3 puffs longer, 4 puffs longer, maybe 5 puffs longer than king size. Once you get the hang of them,
I think our reel is probably better than the combined reel of any 3 agencies.
All right, now let's see if we can find first. No, that's not it. Believe me, it's in there somewhere.
No matter how rough you treat a rebel, it's awfully hard to hurt it. A survey of professional driving schools shows that they use more of our cars than any other kind.
How am I doing?
A lot better than yesterday. Turn left.
I can't do it while you're watching me.
Okay, turn left. How does it feel the first time out in traffic, Mr. Moss? Mr. Moss? Mr. Moss?
Look out for the truck!
What truck?
Behind the bus!
What bus?
The Rebel has held its own against some of the worst drivers in the world.
Should I turn the windshield wiper on?
At this point, it looks like the Rebels are going to outlast the teachers.
You see, any of the commercials shouldn't just be a statement of policy of the company, but they should feel like the company. Half of what you do, I think, is in the tone in which you do it.
My Girl's Lips, a poem by Alan Hockstadt. Fresh as the morning dew are the lips that belong to you. Fresh as the snow on Kilimanjaro, I love your lips today as I will on the morrow. Fresh as a fountain, I will sing your lips' praises from every rooftop and mountain. Fresh as the sandpiper's cry, ho ho! For your lips I think I would die. Fresh as a morning in July, fresh as a bright summer sky. Would I lie?
What inspires this kind of poetry? A new moist lipstick that doesn't darken on your mouth. Light shades stay light. Bright shades stay bright. Your lips stay fresh. Love sticks.